Okay, well, I want some round steak, but here we are. I'm at Sedano's, and look at the price. It's $4.99 a pound. $4.99. How do I cut that? How would I do that? How could I cut the price of the round steak? Oh, okay. Well, I'll just take a few steps over here, over this way, and take a look. See that sign? Beef round top order, halves cut to order. Okay, so I'm going to get a section, a half round, whatever you call it, of round steak, and instead of $4.99, it's going to be only $1.79 per pound. Okay, I'm home now with my steak, which I got a tremendous deal on now. The thing is, a lot of your big name supermarkets don't have deals like this, so good idea is look for your ethnic type supermarkets, especially Hispanic markets quite frequently have deals like this. Here in Broward, we also have Broward Meat and Fish, which also has deals like this sometimes. So you can see here's the flyer that I saw. So check the flyers. Here you see Sedano's. That's a pretty reputable local Spanish type of supermarket. Now, as far as you see the extra $10 in meat, you know what? Instead of getting the chorizo, since I haven't had real pork bacon in a long time, I went ahead and bought 4 of these. These are only $2.99 each. This Aberdeen bacon. I've had it before, sliced bacon. So it came out to just under $12. So that got me over the $10 mark. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some of the steak out for tonight and let it get to room temperature. So I'm going to show you how to really, if you get a good deal on steak, you really want to cook it good. Incredible. I like incredible, fantastic steak. And the only real way to do it is on the barbecue grill. So I'm going to show you what I do. First, I'm going to let some of the pieces get to room temperature. So I'm going to take it out. The rest I'm going to put in the refrigerator. I might put some of them in the freezer because I'm not sure if we're eating home or not on Saturday. I got to check with my wife. So we got at least 3 days worth here, maybe 4 days worth of steak. And as I showed you, I saved like 37 bucks on this. Okay, I've been letting the steak sit at room temperature for about half an hour. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some seasoning to it and then let it sit for about 1 more hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off. The first thing you should put on is salt. Now, I like this Himalayan salt, Himalayan pink salt. It's really good stuff. So I just grind a little bit up, and I'm going to put it on each one. I'm going to follow that up with ground peppercorn, and then finish up with garlic powder. So just take a little bit of this, see here, and just put a little bit of the salt on there and a little bit here, and I'm going to continue with it. Now, by the way, just to let you know how much I actually saved, as you saw, I bought 11.55 pounds of steak. It was just $1.75 a pound, down from their price of $4.99. So if you, I'm sorry, so it was $1.79 a pound. So it was $3.20 less than their $4.99 price if you bought it in the package. So $3.20 per pound, 11.55 pounds. Do the math on a calculator, and I saved $36.98. Let's call it 37 bucks I saved. So I saved almost double what I actually paid for this steak. It's unbelievable. So I highly recommend you do as I said before. Check the flyers of usually, like I say, it's ethnic markets, usually Spanish markets, and you'll find it. Now, one thing, if you see here, these steaks, the guy offered, the butcher will cut them up. He cut them up. He offered to cut this fat. I do like this fat, so I'm going to leave that on there. I'll cut it. My wife doesn't like it, so this will be like her piece. I'll cut that. I got quite a bit of steak, but guess what? I'm on a low carb diet, so steak all the way. I've got enough for at least 3 days worth of steak here. Okay, I added, after the salt, I added, as you could see, I crushed the peppercorns, ground them up. The final thing I'm going to do is add garlic powder, and then I'm just going to let this sit for about an hour, and in a little over an hour, I'm going to cook them up. Now, one thing, as far as Sedano's, it was a great deal on the meat, but to be honest with you, wasn't too crazy about their produce section. Some of their other stuff was a little bit on a pricey side. So guess what? On the way home, I could just stop at Aldi's, or Publix. Actually, I just stopped at Publix just because it was on the right side of the street. But I'm going to go back to Sedano's on Monday and do the same deal again. And this time I'll stop at Aldi's, where they have really, really terrific produce, nice and fresh, good prices. So, don't feel that you're beholden to buy everything else. Now, like I say, you have to buy $10 more of meat. So I went ahead and bought their bacon, which was a good deal. And I think maybe on Monday I might go for the chorizo. I'll see how I feel. So what I'm going to do now, just let this sit. As I said again, it's real important to let this meat get as close to room temperature as possible. This salt is going to just sink right into the meat. It's going to give it a nice flavoring, some tenderizing. So then I'm going to show you some other things on how I grill it on the grill. Okay, it's almost an hour later, and I fired up the charcoal on the grill. And while I wait for that, I'm going to do one last thing. I'm going to add some steak seasoning. It could be Montreal steak, or in this case, I got Montana steak, Chicago steak seasoning. It's all very similar, and I like it because it gives it a little bit of flavoring, nice flavoring, but it gives it a nice crunchiness texture on the surface. I also added some on the bottom. So that's the final thing before I throw it on a griddle, and then I'm going to show you what I do there. Okay, I believe the coals are nice and fired up, so it's time to spread them out. And so let's do that. There we go. Oh, nice and hot. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Red hot. Red hots. Get them right here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is let me put the cooking grill on here. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do, because I want this nice and hot. So when the steaks hit them, they're going to sizzle, and I'm going to show you why. And just to make sure it's nice and hot in here, and that grill, I'm going to let that sit there for a few minutes and get up well over 400 degrees, and then I'm going to show you what comes next. Okay, I've had this cooking like this, or heating up like this, for a few minutes. So it's very hot inside, but most importantly, that grill is nice and hot. We want to hear, we want sizzle. There we go. There we go. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to place the steaks on here, and I'm going to get a nice pattern, as you'll see. So we're going to do it 2 minutes before each movement. So here we go. Yeah, 2 minutes. I'm going to let that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just like that. You hear that sizzle? That's exactly what I want. I want that sizzle. So So what I'm going to do now is, and then just to make sure, we're now press down on this, nice and hard. There we go. Okay, and then very simple. I'm going to let it cook in there for 2 minutes, and then in 2 minutes, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to show you what I do. There's a reason I'm going to move these steaks in a certain way. It's 2 minutes later, so I'm going to take the top off and show you how I'm going to move these. I'm going to move them, you see, like here. I'm going to move them approximately about 90-degree angle, about a 90-degree angle. Just one turn, because I want to get a nice little pattern on it. Same thing here. Each one of these, I move about 90 degrees. Might not be exact, but it's not get too fussy. And there. So there, we got a 90-degree angle now, just to make sure it's getting a nice sizzle into that grill. I'll flatten it down, see? Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. And then, very simple, cover it for 2 minutes. And we'll repeat the process. It's 2 minutes later again, and it's time to flip them actually over. Before I just turned them at 90-degree angles, but now I'm going to do a complete flip and repeat the process on the other side. So, the big one here, let's see what happened. Yeah, you can see a little bit. You know what, this piece here kind of, alright, fine. Yeah, now here, I don't know if you could see it, but you could definitely see a pattern on that one. No, actually you can see the pattern on this one too. It gives it like that, you know what, it's just strictly for looks. It just gives it a nice professional look. Here, same thing here, see? I don't know if you could see it, but it gives it a nice look. So what I'm going to do, guess what? 2 minutes, then turn it at right angles for 2 minutes, and then at that point, we're finished. We're finished. Of course, after I take it off the grill, I'm going to let it sit for about 4 or 5 minutes, because guess what? The steak still cooks internally after you take it off the grill. A lot of people don't know that. And again, it's 2 minutes later, and this is going to be our final turn before we take the steaks off the grill. So we're going to do the same thing. 90-degree turns, or right turns, right angles, right there. That's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. Just to get that nice grid pattern and just to mature it a little bit, I'm going to tap it down. There we go. Okay, and that's it. Now we're going to go to the final 2 minutes, and in 2 minutes we'll be ready to take them off the grill. And now it's time to take them off the grill. Oh yeah. Oh, I love that smell. I love steak. So let's see how we got with the, yeah, that got a nice little pattern. Here's another. Here's my wife's piece. She doesn't eat as much as me, and she's not on low carb. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to let them sit for about 4 or 5 minutes. But as I said, they're going to cook internally. Internally, they're going to cook. Okay, now my favorite part of this whole process, the eating of the steak. But first, let me just check to see how it looks inside. Remember, it cooked internally even after I took it off the grill. So let's see. Let's see what it looks like. Oh yeah, see? Just a little bit of, it's pink, a little pink. So I like it like that. That's how I like it. Let's see how it tastes with that seasonings I put on it. Not only did I save a lot of money, $37, remember? It tastes great. That salt that I put on there tenderizes it a little. By the way, I might show you another trick for tenderizing sometime in the near future, but for today, oh, now remember, all of this steak that I cooked today, I got enough for 2 more times. So 3 meals of steak altogether for just a little over 20 bucks and change. Oh, and here, there's something else I saved on. This Behringer White Zinfandel. I got this a couple of days ago. If you're from South Florida, you know what I'm talking about. Flanagan's, Big Daddy's. It's a package store with a restaurant attached, or you could consider it a package store with a restaurant attached, or a restaurant with a package store attached. They had a really great deal where they had a coupon. You bought 3 of these Behringer White Zinfandel bottles for a total of just $5. So I'm going to enjoy my steak, eat my, drink my wine. Everything is cheap. You see, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Just do like I say. Go to those markets, like I say, the ethnic type, usually Hispanic markets. And you know, you never know. The regular supermarkets sometimes I think do it. I know Broward Meat and Fish does. So let me eat and see you guys later.